Today we are going to be ranking every single MultiVersus character from easiest to hardest. Of course this list is subjective, but you should get a general idea of how easy and hard characters are to pick up in this game. I'm going to group the characters into 5 different categories, being beginner, easy, moderate, hard, and extreme. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are a MultiVersus player. I have a lot of content already on the game and definitely a lot more to come. Starting off in the beginner tier, we have Shaggy, Taz, Wonder Woman, and Superman. First up, we have Shaggy. He's the tutorial character. Everyone has to start out with him. I think he's got the most straightforward kit. He's easy to pick up, but I think there's actually a little bit of depth to him. You can charge up your rage and hit your side air even harder. You can throw sandwiches. You can even combo people upwards. Shaggy has it all, and he's pretty much the perfect character to start with. Next up is Taz. He's in a really weird spot right now, but pretty much for the most part, all you're going to be doing is tornadoing and getting up your stacks of Tasty to turn them into a chicken. I don't know. Right now, his gameplay is a bit too simple for me. Next up, we have Wonder Woman, and in my eyes, she's the perfect character if you want to practice fundamentals. She's got a great all-around kit, a lot of utility with things like the shield, the lasso. She's actually got really good kill potential with a lot of her aerial moves. Down air on Wonder Woman is one of the best moves in the game, I think. Yeah, just a really solid, easy character to pick up, and there's definitely a high skill ceiling for her as well. Last up in beginner tier, we have Superman, and if you want to pick up a character that's incredibly oppressive, pick this guy up. Superman's aerial moves are some of the most annoying things to deal with just because they kill so early. Yesterday I actually played against a Superman that killed me at 4%. I don't really want to go into it, it gets me a little heated, but anyways, this character is really good. His ground game is a little lackluster, but if you can get people off stage, Superman is an actual menace. There isn't a whole lot of complex stuff to his gameplay. You basically just want to get people off stage, fly around, shoot them with lasers, and yeah, kill him at 5-10%. In the easy tier, we have Jake, Finn, the Iron Giant, and Garnet. First up, Jake. Jake definitely has more complexity than the other characters on this list so far, but what makes him quite easy is his moveset. The two things that come to mind are his triple down air on the skateboard and his side air, which he can stretch to make longer. These moves are super hard to play against, especially off stage, because Jake doesn't really have to put himself into danger because his arm just goes off stage and he stays on stage. Next up is Finn, and this character is slowly becoming everyone's least favorite character because of how strong he is. Finn just really has it all, a simple yet powerful character who can build up damage, kill, and survive incredibly well because of, in my eyes, the best utility in the game, Boots of Speed. This will grant Finn and his ally 10% movement speed, which he can actually stack later on in the game if he buys the boots again. His gameplay is super safe because of this, and due to the teleportation, he can really just survive any situation. What you're going to be doing is charging moves and reacting to your opponent. It's pretty straightforward. Everyone knows he's got incredible moves. The down air spike is crazy. The bag, oh gosh, the bag. Everyone knows about the bag. But yeah, Finn, great character to pick up. You should definitely take advantage of him while he's this good. Next up is the Iron Giant. It pretty much makes sense. This character is quite easy to pick up. He's very safe in the sense that he really only dies past like 150. All you're gonna do is just hit people. It's not very hard to hit people on this guy. Your hitboxes are ridiculously big. Of course, it's very easy for you to get hit, but the character itself is not a very complex one. You should just basically just stomp on people, slam people, hit people with cars, grab people. That's pretty much it. Last up in the easy tier, we have Garnet. In my eyes, probably the most difficult out of the characters in the easy tier, but again, it'll only take you like 2 or 3 games to pick her up. The one complex mechanic she does have is the star teleporting. I think this move is incredibly good if used well, but for the most part, most of her moves are pretty straightforward. Just punch. She's got a projectile too. She's got some shielding from projectiles. Pretty straightforward. I think a really good character to pick up as well. Just a little bit slow for me though. In the moderate tier, we have Bugs Bunny, Rain Dog, Velma, and Batman. I'm starting off here with Bugs Bunny because I think he's a pretty straightforward character to pick up, but his skill ceiling is incredibly high. When people think about Bugs, they think about his projectiles, but his normals are also incredibly strong. The reason he's not easy is because you technically need to practice a couple things on Bugs to understand how his kit works. There's a lot of tech on Bugs, so there's definitely a lot of things you can practice in training mode, but if you're trying to pick up a character, Bugs is nowhere near the hardest. Next up is Rain Dog, and this character has a very odd playstyle. He's very heavy and has shielding like a support character, but he's also technically a hybrid because a lot of his damage is projectiles. Again, it's a very odd playstyle. It's very hit or miss in my eyes. I've played against a lot of Rain Dogs that were the easiest thing to play against in the whole game, or the Rain Dog does 500 damage and you didn't even realize it happened. You do have to practice some things like using your tether at the right time, and you do kind of have to figure out how to hit your projectiles because they're quite slow. But yeah, Rain Dog, not too hard to pick up, but not too easy either. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about Velma here, but the character is a little bit odd, so it's not someone you can pick up instantly. I don't think the character is particularly difficult at all because a lot of her projectiles, it's literally honing missiles, you don't even have to aim them. But yeah, there's definitely some complexity to her kit. I think the cop car is very cool, collecting evidence. I think Velma struggles a little bit to kill, but otherwise she's a pretty solid character. I think people are putting her as the best character in the game right now. Alright, so last up in the moderate tier we have Batman. One of the more strange characters in the game because he's actually way better in 1v1s than 2v2s. If we're talking about a perfect 1v1 character, give me Finn or Batman. These two are way ahead of the rest. Batman has insane utility. It's really hard to die for Batman because his grappling hook basically saves him every time. He's got pretty good combo game, he's pretty tanky. The one problem on Batman is trying to kill. Of course, you can kill with down air off stage or up B on stage, but killing horizontally on Batman is just not possible. You've got to figure out how to use things like your Batarang. It's not too difficult because a character like this should really not have a projectile, but that's another problem. I think Batman is like the exact middle character. There's definitely complexity, but he's pretty easy to pick up for the most part. In the hard tier, we have Arya Stark, Steven Universe, Harley Quinn, and LeBron James. Now, in the game, Arya is classified as an expert character, but I actually don't think she's on the hardest tier. The thing that makes Arya so difficult is her weight. Arya is the lightest character in the game, which means she dies the fastest. Of course, Arya has difficult combos. You do have to land your dagger to be pretty effective. And in many cases, you do actually have to know what other characters' moves do when you steal their face. But again, the difficulty of Arya comes with how risky the character is. In many cases, it's better to play other characters because they give you more reward for doing less. Arya does have some auto combos, and there's technically a 0 to death if you land your dagger. But yeah, Arya is definitely not a character you can pick up in your first game and be great at her. Next up is Steven, and Steven in my eyes has the weirdest kit in all of MultiVersus. He's a support with very little utility for his team. He's got shields which acts as walls which you can use for comboing, and a little watermelon man to help you out, but it's really not even that useful for the most part. He just has an odd kit and it's very difficult to maximize his usefulness for a new player. Next up in the hard tier we have Harley. Harley is the character whose inputs are going to matter the most as she relies on comboing. She does have an infinite combo which is super helpful, but it's not something you're going to be able to do as a new player. It's going to take a couple games to play her to learn how to juggle, combo, and use your bombs effectively. She's very quick and agile, but the downside is that she's the second lightest character in the game behind Arya, so you're going to die at 80% more than you'd like. Last up in the hard tier is LeBron. LeBron has a very unique kit as his moves are different based on having the ball or not. He's the newest character in the game, so people have put less time into him, but I definitely think he's not an easy character. Choosing when to keep the ball or using it as a projectile is important, so yeah, I'd say LeBron is probably a top 3 hardest character in this game right now. And lastly, in the extreme tier, we only have one character, and that is Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry has the highest skill floor and skill ceiling out of any character in the game, meaning it's the hardest to pick him up and the hardest to fully utilize his whole kit once you've played a lot of games on him. He's a projectile heavy character who can get rushed down pretty easily if you aren't careful. The amount of tech on this guy is unreal, so if you want to play him, watch all the guides you can because you're really going to need it. And that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.